Yo guys, it's me Josh and welcome to Let's Talk About, the series in which I talk about the things that are flowing through my head. So, today, Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, that's what we'll be talking about. But first, as you can see here, from the slide, this is my new lighting setup. There's one here and there's one in the background there which you can't see. I found that it's best to put it behind my backdrop because it's a bit less stark and you don't have a massive structure that you can see. It's just a bit of light. So, yeah, that's what's going on with that. They're a pain in the arse. This one here, you can't see it. In fact, if I just adjust the camera so you can see it, pretty good idea. That was a pain in the arse to set up because it wouldn't click in. It has a circle thing that clicks in into the bulb and it wouldn't click in, so that was a pain in the arse. But yeah, also I have just finished school today. Yeah, finished year 11. I had a bit of a celebration, listened to some music, had a bit of a groovy groove. But yes, I'm no longer in school and I'm joining college in September, so nice shit. So let's get on with the video then. Now, Sadiq Khan has been the Mayor of London for one term and a bit since about 2016. He, of course, took over from Boris Johnson, who, in the eyes of many, including myself, was an excellent Mayor of London, put on a fantastic Olympic Games in 2012, of course, and just generally did a great job. And Sadiq Khan, at first, of course, he's Labour, and I don't like Labour's policies and their stance, especially since about 2014, I'd say. So, at first I thought his appointment, I didn't think it was good, but I was prepared to give him a chance, thinking, he could be alright. And he did seem to be alright for the first few months, but then it was really about a year or two, about a year into his reign that things started to go badly. So that was when the knife crimes, well, not the knife crime, firstly, the terrorist attacks, they happened under his reign, and previous to that, there hadn't been actually many major terrorist attacks at all. There hadn't been a major terrorist attack in London for about years and years, but major terrorist attacks nationally, I think it was about 5 or 6 years since there had been one. So he really, I mean, to use a football analogy, gave it the laces in inciting terrorist attacks. And knife crime, of course, has gone up tons under Sadiq Khan. You just have to look at in the streets and the figures of stabbings in London, especially in the poorer districts, have gone up. Boroughs, I'd say. Boroughs, not districts, not American. The figures in the poorer boroughs have gone up tons, and a lot more people are dying from stabbings and being injured or seriously injured by knife crime in general. You just have to look up the statistics of knife crime in 2020 versus 2016. No, 2019 versus 2016 in London, and you'll see just the stark rise. In fact, 2021 will probably still work, but the trouble is COVID has nuanced it a bit. So your best bet is 2016 to 2019. You'll see the sharp rise in knife crime. So yeah, it's not been good. General crime in general has gone up as well, of course. I mean, you've got the terrorist attacks and one thing, the knife crime, murder, even murder at gunpoint has gone up, despite, of course, guns being illegal in this country. Knives are not illegal in this country. So that is quite something that the gun crime has gone up, especially seeing as it is quite hard to get guns into this country because it's illegal. So they have to be imported via the black market. And you often have a case of the same gun being used for several robberies, which, give the criminals credit, is a good tactic because it basically mucks up the DNA to a point where you can only catch the person who's last used it. And that could be a really insignificant crime. You could have got someone, you make Raj to hold the gun, plant his DNA all over it, and then just get rid of it. And then if the police get it, it's just Raj, and he's not done anything. So I can see why they do that. But yeah, the fact that knife crime and gun crime and general crime has gone up is really, really bad. And it just goes to show how poor of a mayor he has been in terms of policing. But it's not just that. Economy as well. London hasn't had such an increase economically since that it had under Boris and the previous mayors before that, the previous Conservative ones as well. This is good shit, natural energy drink, not sponsored, but I find these actually give me energy. It's a bit of like a weird sting having it though. Like, do you sip it? And yeah, it is almost like getting hit with spark plugs. No, jump leads. It is almost like getting hit with jump leads. It's like, oh, like that. But yeah, good shit. So where was I? Yeah, so general crime has gone up. Knife crime has gone up. Knife crime has gone up the most extreme. That is sword. I'd say general crime has soared as well, but knife crime very extreme. It's almost gone from like that, maybe like that, to that, maybe like that. So it is really just gone like a roller coaster going up a lifter, like bam. Yeah, it is almost vertically shot up. So not good at all in terms of policing. Economically, I just explained he's not been doing well with the growth of London's economy. It's not grown as much as it was before. He's a poor leader as well, because he just he's not strong in his character. In his demeanour, he's not strong. He doesn't, display, I'm the boss. Because you want a leader, like a political leader especially, to sort of display, I'm the boss, like, not be arrogant about it, but be firm. When people are taking the piss out of you, and your position of power, just say, I'm the boss, I make the decisions, and you want them to be assertive and, act like a leader. He doesn't seem to do that, really. He seems to be rather soft and pandering. It's like, with the BLM things, the police just sort of let them go, and it's like with the COVID protests compared to the BLM riots, because they were riots. The BLM riots were allowed to basically freely happen. The COVID protests were completely hindered by police basically charging on people and stuff, and it's because there was no pressure on the police to be more gentle, whereas with the BLM there was so much pressure. It's like, oh, you're racist if you police this. Is almost the circumstance. You had police officers doing the knee and pandering, basically being biased is the thing. And like, the police officers need to protect the public interest, but they can't just be biased towards a protest. Like, even with the COVID protest, the police officers should do their job. Like, even if you agree with the protester, if they're smashing up a window, you should arrest them. But even if you do agree with their views overall, if they're committing crime, your job as the police is to arrest them, not pander to their cause if you believe it. And that's the point. It's like the unbiased nature that's meant to be in the police is almost getting taken away in London, because it's like, oh, well, we agree with these people, so we're not going to police them properly, but we don't agree with this lot, so we're going to stamp hard on them. In some cases, literally, but yeah, that's the thing. And I don't like how it's been promoted, this case of, institutional racism. Like, maybe systemic racism exists in the US, potentially. And I'd say police violence is definitely a problem in the US. But I don't think it's really a problem here. I think there's a few isolated cases, and of course there always will be. I'm never going to say the police are never violent. But I don't think you can say that the police need to be defunded. Not even in the US. I think that there is more of a situation, less of a situation of bad apples and more of a situation of a bad structure. But I don't think the police need to be defunded in the US or the UK. But the US politics is not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about politics in London. And he's incompetent, of course, because, in fact, let me get the clip up. I think there's a clip, basically, where he's, it's like he has 20,000 police officers or something, and then the interviewer says it's actually 10,000. Here's the proof, and then he just sort of sits there and is like, no, 30,000. He basically bullshits, because he's got his facts wrong. So let me just try and get that up.
Areas, and these are magnificent or infernal, depending on your point of view. Things were hunky-dory back in February.
Hunky-dory. Ooh, hunky-dory. I mean, I'm sorry, but no professional politician uses terms like hunky-dory to get their point across. Like, you just don't. You use terms like doing fine, normal, regular, things like that sound professional. Hunky-dory. You're not reading a children's book, Sadiq. You're the Mayor of London having an interview on LBC, which is London's biggest broadcaster. It's like going on the BBC and then being like, yo, what's up, Chava? Like, unless you're like Nico Milana doing it like as a joke for a parody, it's just completely unacceptable and unprofessional. Like, why? Why would you be like that? It's like me being like, in it, Blad, in an interview for a job. It's be like, what the fuck? What are you doing, mate? You know, piss off. It's what they would be like, and fair enough, because you're meant to be professional. He's not acting professional. So, that is professionalism, and I would say professionalism is a part of competence. So, you could say he's incompetent straight off the bat from that. But, there we go. Cynical excuse for failure. Let's have a look. And let's have a drink. There we go. There were terror attacks that have occurred on his watch. Told you he had them. It's more than obvious that Khan has failed to lead London properly. The lockdown made him mentally ill. And now I'm not going to make fun of mental illness or anything. But, Sadiq Khan, riddle me this. If you were mentally ill, and therefore not fit to lead a city as mayor, why didn't you step down? Why didn't you step down? Because if that was the case, surely as a professional you'd step down. Or is that a lie and it's not actually the case? You're just an incompetent leader. I think it's the latter, because any professional with a sense of dignity and pride would step down if, because of mental illness, they were no longer fit to lead. The fact is, that is simply not true, because although I don't like Sadiq Khan, I know he'd probably have the integrity to resign as Mayor of London if he wasn't mentally fit to be Mayor of London. If he, if he had to go to an insane asylum or something, he was that mentally ill, then I'm sure he would resign. So I think that is bullshit, for one. So he's an incompetent leader who uses excuses for his incompetence. So he's just not very good. And in general, Sadiq Khan, he has more excuses than substance. Everything he gets wrong, there's an excuse. Everything he gets right, well, he doesn't get much right, but when he does get stuff right, he laudits it like it's a massive achievement when it's a minor thing. For example, 5 dustbins were commissioned in Islington. Oh, it's a success. We've revolutionised waste across the country. There'll no longer be pollution. There'll no longer be waste. There'll no longer be rubbish in London. Blah, de, blah, de, blah. And he'll make that much of a song and dance about a tiny success. But when there's a massive failure, he'll play it off like when there's a terror attack. He just says stuff like, well, you see, it was an error by MI5, or, yeah, because they didn't quite get their intelligence correct. That's exactly what Sadiq Khan would say in response to that. And I'm not saying he said that, he might have said that, and I'm not aware, but that's exactly what Sadiq Khan would say in response to that. He is just full of bullshit. I'm sorry, but he's full of bullshit. And I'm not personally attacking him or anything like that. I'm sure he's a great guy, and I'm sure he's a nice guy to sit down and have a beer with. But the fact is, as Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan has simply failed. He's not a good leader. Knife crime sword, general crime sword, and he is completely incompetent and uses excuses to get away with his failures. Because otherwise, he would have had a vote of no confidence in him and been sacked if people didn't buy his bullshit. And the point is, people in London are pandering to him because they feel sorry for him, because he's a Muslim, and they think just because he's a Muslim, he's automatically, there to save the world. Muslims are great people. I'm sure he is a great person. But that doesn't mean he's competent. Your religion does not make you smarter. But anyway, that's my sort of little rant over. The fact is, I think Sadiq Khan is a bad mayor of London. He has a bad term, and he should be booted out of office. They need to have some spine to replace him with a competent mayor who will lead London forward and make it a safe place so people can actually visit there. There's people who have to do their jobs in London, and some people have to consider changing their jobs because of the safety levels in London and their concern over the safety in London. It was never like that under Boris Johnson, was it? Anyway, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next episode of this series, which will be next week. And what will that be on? And you'll find out then what it's on, because I can't seem to remember. I've probably got it written down because I planned these a week in advance, as I've told in the previous episode. If you want to see more of them, just click on the info card here. That would have been there for earlier in the video as well. It appears twice, earlier in the video and now. So just go and check that now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.